You're listening to The Secrets of Doctor Who, where we discuss everything about the hit BBC series Doctor Who. And today we're discussing the Sixth Doctor Big Finish story, Ratings War. I'm Dom Bettinelli, and joining me today on the panel are Jimmy Akin. Hey, Jimmy.
Howdy, Dom.
And Father Cory Sticha. Hey, Father Cory.
How's it going?
Folks, be sure to follow The Secrets of Doctor Who in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, on iHeartRadio, in your favorite podcast app. Mine's Overcast, but you might have a different one, or at the StarQuest YouTube channel where you can watch us, and you make sure to hit the bell to get notifications of every new episode. And I want to tell you about another show on the StarQuest Network, our newest show called The Secrets of Sacred Art. And you can find that wherever fine podcasts are found, or at sqpn.com/art. So we are talking about this Sixth Doctor story, the Ratings War. And Jimmy, can you give us a recap of what happens in this story?
This week, in this very early Big Finish adventure, the Sixth Doctor arrives at a television station to complain about its horrible saccharine and reality TV programming. He complains to the station controller, Roger Lowell, but Lowell is actually under the mental control of the Doctor's old, super cute, and super bloodthirsty enemy, Beep the Meep. Beep has been using mind control technology to turn the station's viewing audience into an army of mind control slaves. The audience will be placed under Beep's control by signal in a few minutes, and then they will receive their instructions during a program called Beep and Friends. Beep's friends, the viewing audience, will then horribly murder and mutilate everyone who's not under his control. However, the Doctor tells Beep that he was onto him all along, and he prevented the activation signal from going out, so there will be no mind-controlled murderous slaves. Enraged, Beep has Lowell shoot the Doctor with an energy weapon, which almost kills him, after which he returns control of Lowell's mind to Lowell. Beep then tries to murder two of the station's new reality stars on camera, but the Doctor chases him off. But the Doctor chases him off after he shoots the two reality stars. The Doctor then reveals that he has rigged Beep's gun to harmlessly discharge its battery, so it only stunned the Doctor and mildly shocked the reality stars. As Beep is taken into custody by his own security guards, the Doctor reveals that much of what he told Beep was a lie. The signal did go out to activate the audience's mind control, but since Beep gave Lowell back control of his mind, Lowell never broadcast Beep and Friends to give the audience their instructions. Furthermore, by attacking the reality stars on camera, Beep revealed his bloodthirsty nature to the audience, so they won't be trusting him in the future. Finally, in a fourth-wall-pounding interview, the station's presenter tries to interview the Sixth Doctor, but the Doctor appears dismissive of the limits of modern television and says we'll be hearing from him in another medium. And that's this story's Big Finish. The end.
Ooh.
Nice pun. So a little bit of before we get our overall impressions, I just want to throw a little bit of background out there. This was a 2002 production. It was part of, included with the Doctor Who magazine, issue 313. So it was initially included in the magazine, along with an Eighth Doctor story, Invaders from Mars. So they're packaged together. And so that's how it originally went out.
And it's important to realize that even though Big Finish had been around since like 1996, they only got the Doctor Who license in like 1999. So this is in their third year of doing these stories. So this is very early days for them.
So, Father Cory, your overall impression of Ratings War?
Well, first of all, I have to mention, remember when, you go get a magazine, they actually had like CDs with, whether it was a computer magazine with CD or programs or, this, where there'd be audio or music. But anyways.
Endless AOL discs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great coasters. This was kind of funny. It was short. This isn't, Big Finish has gotten where they do their audios based on the format of the Doctor at the time. So like this would have, traditionally been like a 4 or 6 part audio drama because Colin Baker's time was more parts like this. This was only, 30 minutes long because it was a little teaser, if you will, of what Big Finish is like for the magazine people. But it was a good short story. It was it was kind of fun, Beep the Meep is not somebody I was familiar with before this, before listening to this. but very interesting character, kind of fun. Where it's so cute and fluffy and everything, and by the way, it's a maniacal mass murderer that wants to enslave people and kill everyone. Kind of a fun character. Also, I enjoyed the kind of the digs at television, especially since this is during the hiatus period of Doctor Who. So in many ways, this is kind of poking at BBC, like, why did you get rid of our show? But that just kind of added to the fun of it. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
How about you, Jimmy?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked the fact that it was short. And it's the first audio appearance of Beep the Meep. For people who are not familiar, Beep the Meep originally appeared in the Doctor Who comic books in a Fourth Doctor. His first appearance was in a Fourth Doctor story called The Star Beast. And then he appeared again in a story called Star Beast 2. And I believe it's at the end of Star Beast 2, he gets trapped in a television episode of Lassie. Which is what they're referring to about the little boy who's trapped in a mine, but his dog rescues him and stuff like that. So, it's also interestingly told. A lot of it is broadcast footage of what's going on. We kind of cut back and forth between what's going out over the nameless television station that is presumably the BBC and what's going on in Mr. Lowell's office where the Doctor is confronting him. And so it's a little bit like Live 34, which is entirely made of radio documentary news segments. And Live 34 is genius. This is not genius, but it's kind of in that vein, and it's played more for comedy, and it's fun. I will say, though, I don't find the name Lowell fun. Because in America and everywhere else I know, the name is pronounced Lowell. And there's even, I live, like one of the neighboring towns here in Arkansas is Lowell, Arkansas. So I have to fight myself to not say Lowell every time I need to say Lowell.
Lowell, Massachusetts was the textile manufacturing city of the early America, and so I keep wanting. I saw it before I heard it, and I'm like, the character's Robert Lowell. So yeah, I agree. Yeah. We should mention for when people are listening to this, you're already been yelling at your phone. Yes. You've seen Beep the Meep in the first of the 60th anniversary Doctor Who specials called The Star Beast, and Beep the Meep is the villain in that. So you've seen it. We're recording this before that, so we know that it's coming, but we haven't seen it. So that's why we're talking about it the way we are.
We're coming to you from timey-wimey the past.
Yeah. So as far as my impression goes, I enjoyed it. I think it was just long enough for the story. I think there was several twists and turns, which was nice to throw those in there in such a brief story. I agree with you, Jimmy. I like the way that they've included it, because it's an audio format. They included the audio of the TV show in an organic way. So I think it was good, and it was one of the problems with that can crop up in an audio format is the story is hard to follow. We've run into that a few times in Big Finish. It can be hard to follow. This was not hard to follow. I was able to keep up with what's going on and all the action, and I really did appreciate that. So I like it, and I agree with Father Cory. My first encounter with Beep the Meep here, and I thought it was an interesting take on what if an alien was super cute and super vicious and deadly and evil. I'm like, that would be an interesting interesting aspect.
So Beep the Meep is the rabbit from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
I was thinking the same thing. Run away. So yes, I like that idea that what if we encountered aliens who to humans are super cute, fluffy with huge eyes, and we expect them to be like puppies and kitties. And instead they're just super villainous and like offended at our cutesy wootsy-ism.
It's like Charles Manson as a cute bunny.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I was also thinking of Galaxy Quest, where there's the aliens they see and they look all cute and little kids and everything, and then they're vicious and they like eat the one that's wounded and.
Yeah, right. That's a funny scene. So I did like the doctors complaining about the downturn in quality of TV. And now from inside the story, why would the doctor care? Why would the doctor care about the decline in the quality of TV? But from outside the story, this is clearly a commentary on the BBC's very bad form in canceling the classic Who, and maybe even canceling the Sixth Doctor, Colin Baker. I think there's a little bit of that in there as well.
Oh, there are definite pokes at that. Like at the end, the network announces that Beep and Friends has been put on hiatus for 18 months, which is the length of time that Doctor Who was on hiatus during Colin Baker's tenure. Because they broadcast 2 seasons of Colin Baker, then they put the show on hiatus for 18 months. They didn't say how long it was going to be on hiatus. They said they wanted to retool it and stuff, and it was widely suspected they were attempting to cancel it quietly at the time, but there was enough backlash, including a horrible pop record called Doctor in Distress.
Oh yeah.
that featured Colin Baker and a cast of thousands, that eventually got them to bring it back for the 3rd Colin Baker season, Trial of a Time Lord. And so by putting Beep and Friends on hiatus for 18 months, that's a direct dig at that.
Well, and this was also 2002. If you remember TV at the time, this was when reality TV was at its height. Right. I mean, both on the BBC and here in the United States, you had Survivor, you had Big Brother, you had all these, which that started in the UK. Yeah. So there's all these shows, all this reality television was coming out fast and furious, and it was just bad. It still is, in my opinion. But
I liked how they had the station's presenter with this crowd of people out in public somewhere, and we hear the crowd noise and the crowd's enthusiastic reactions, and he's trying to hype everything up as if it's so wonderful and special, and it's really annoying.
Yeah. My recollection is that the reason we got all those reality TV shows and docudramas was so kind of interesting. The myth, we're back in that again. And so, that was what gave us this, but it's interesting. So the doctor complaining and like you said, it's the TV is limiting and unsuitable to his needs. This is his complaint at the end, not at the beginning.
I like how they poke fun at Colin Baker though, because he says, "I need a medium that will allow me to," and he pauses for a second, and the presenter says, "Be louder." Yes, that was good. And then it doesn't think it can do him justice anymore. That medium. And you're right. This is Big Finish saying the Doctor was canceled in 1989, but now lives on in audio. And in fact, he says, "I can assure you, you'll be hearing more from me," is what he says, which is a reference to Big Finish Doctor Who stories. Incidentally, this interview is fourth wall pounding, but not fourth wall breaking.
Right. Yes.
It's breaking the fourth wall when you directly address the audience. They're not doing that here, but they are doing what's known as pounding on the fourth wall, which is creating an awareness that we're sending a message to the audience that is beyond, that acknowledges what medium we're really in here.
Yeah. Well, it was very much a sales pitch at the end for Big Finish, because again, that's what this was. This was a free CD insert in a magazine to sell on. Hey, we've got these dramas we're doing. They're more Doctor Who.
Yes, and they have the original actors.
Yep. Right. Having Colin Baker show up would be, would be awesome for a fan, because again, back in the day, I'm not even sure, was Doctor Who in reruns in the early 2000s?
They don't really do reruns the same way on the BBC that we do in America. There were occasional rebroadcasts, but it was always very short term.
Yeah, right. And of course you could get Doctor Who on VHS, and DVDs were just starting to come out and stuff like that. So
that's true. So one of the things I liked was the list of other shows on the network. Speaking of the reality TV, so
they sound horrible.
Young Cops in Hospital, Wacky Domestic Mishaps, Look, Cute Animals, Hospital Street, which is, I think, a reference to Coronation Street, which is the famous British.
And they describe Hospital Street as the first round-the-clock soap opera. And that sounds horrible for multiple reasons, including I've actually watched quite a bit of soap operas back when I was in college, so I understand how the writing works in a soap opera. And it's like, how would you even do a 24-hour soap opera?
Yes.
I mean, because they're slow enough paced already. You need to cut between multiple plot lines that are unfolding. And if you had a 24-hour feed, it would just be progressing in real time.
I wonder if that's a reference to the show 24, which had come out the year before, the earlier.
It's a similar concept. I don't know that it's a reference, though, given that it's a soap opera, because they don't say it's in real time. They just say it's round the clock, which 24 was not.
Right. Appealing Animals in Distress. That was the other one I really liked. So the doctor doesn't have a companion in this story, which is an interesting way that they've jumped out on this. So it's just the doctor alone, and other characters no one knows. There's a reference to the doctor being hypnotized by black sun radiation. Is that something from the original Beep story?
That I don't know.
Probably will come up if it is. I wonder if that'll come up again in the special that you all have seen that we haven't yet. Then we have this whole Beep in Friends. I wonder if that's like Barney and Friends, like if it's supposed to be a reference to that.
It could be that. It could be Teletubbies. It could be any of those silly children's shows that were out about this time.
Except I don't know, because there have been other and Friends shows, like Dinah and Friends would be like a show involving Dinah Shore. Right. But it's meant for adults. So I think that's probably, since the target audience, since they're going to be airing it in an adult time slot, almost up to the watershed in British television, which is 9:00. They're airing this thing at 8:05 p.m. So this is meant to be a broadly based show. It's not something just for kids, because Beep wants the adults in the audience to become murderous slaves as well.
Yep.
Right. And he's done something with the cooperation of Lowell to get that network 80% of the ratings, like
of the viewing audience. Yeah. So that's like maybe 60-70% of the British public.
Right.
Well, they're talking about things like sabotaging other transmitters and things like that were mentioned.
I wonder how, probably not a direct influence, but there was that episode of the 10th Doctor where, during the Queen Elizabeth's coronation, they were going,
Feed Me.
The Wire.
Yeah, right, exactly. I forget the episode off the top of my head, but using the television to, in that case, kind of steal people's brains and whatever. But it's a similar idea, like sort of this criticism of the medium that the doctor is most connected to, which is television. The idea that most of what's on TV is dreck, except for this, of course. But the doctor has apparently done this several times. Stories of the doctor has done this several times. I think that's interesting.
Another thing that they mention Beep has done to achieve viewing audience is rival TV stations have been losing major talent in tragic accidents.
Right. Exactly. Just tragic. And then there's this twisted Beep song that gets sung. That's one of the, I think maybe one of the things that made me think of Barney, because it's this awful song, but it's like, I was looking for the lyrics. I couldn't find them. I was going to try to rip them using one of the AI audio
something about like eat their face until they're pink. And
just like, it was this twisted song. It was funny.
It's like a children's song about gruesome ways to kill people.
Right.
It was very, very happy, very upbeat sounding, but it was just brutal.
Very Dr. Demento.
Yeah. The Beep himself is also quite bloodthirsty, or at least he perceives others as such, because at one point he says, "I will make you drink your own blood."
Right. And it's interesting how I thought it was kind of fun how the doctor, like, at first appears to have, like, he knew from before the story starts, he knew what was going on and had broken Beep's machine, and then we get a twist where he hadn't broken the machine, and he just made him miss his opportunity to use it, and so we had that twist. But but like once again, the Doctor, long before the story begins, has already figured out the solution.
And they even tell us how, because Beep at one point is after the reveal. Now, before the reveal, the Doctor is in Lowell's office and is taking little swipes at Beep the Meep, even though he apparently does not yet know Beep is there. He's acting like he doesn't know Beep is there. But he comments on this beanbag that you have, meaning because Beep's body is shaped kind of like a beanbag.
Right.
And then when Beep locks the door, the Doctor says, "Your stuffed toy appears to have locked the door, Mr. Lowell." Because Beep looks kind of like a stuffed toy. So the Doctor is, taking little jabs at Beep even before he's acknowledged he's there. But then after the reveal and after the Doctor has said that he's thwarted the machine, even though he really hasn't, Beep is like, how did you deduce that I'm behind all this? And the Doctor says, well, your Beep and Friends advertisements in the newspaper were kind of a giveaway.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well, and Beep doesn't recognize him at first because, of course, he'd seen him in other regenerations
as the fourth Doctor. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I changed a couple of the line about I've changed a couple of times since the last time we've fought, that kind of deal.
Again, I'm doing the whole like timey-wimey thing because everyone already knows. But have you either of you seen the promotional images from the Star Beast special?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the Beep in it? Because in that, he looks much larger than a stuffed animal that sits on a. So I wonder if the new canon is going to be Beep as a larger creature.
No, Beep's about that same size in the comics.
Oh,
okay. It looks about not quite 3 foot tall, like a child,
like a large, like a large dog or
large stuffed toy or something.
Or a small beanbag chair.
Okay. So that's something I wasn't getting a sense of his size from the audio.
We're not talking Beanie Babies, we're not talking little tiny.
That was my initial impression when he said, "Look at this, stuffed animal you have here." My initial, assumption is it's small, but it's.
I would assume that there may have been accompanying artwork in the magazine that would make Beep's size clear, or something like that, but they also could be depending on the audience of the magazine to know the comics that had come out just a few years before, or a number of years before, but they also appeared in these magazines.
I see. Yeah. I'm looking at the TARDIS wiki, and it does have the images from the comics of Beep there, and the relative size. So interesting. Any other final thoughts on this one, Father Cory?
Well, one thing kind of Jimmy mentioned in his summary is that the Doctor was able to use a paperclip to drain the power cell of the gun. So while the Doctor's holding it, he's saying that you can imagine he's saying they're just kind of playing with it, and Beep's not even paying attention to the fact that the Doctor's actually breaking his gun.
Yep.
Basically, that was kind of a clever way to do it, kind of the old fashioned of, oh, you think you're going to kill me? No, actually, I just made it permanently on stun. And by the way, it doesn't work anymore now.
How about you, Jimmy? Any other final thoughts?
Nope.
Excellent. All right. So before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Doctor Who, including Kevin S., Linda K., Joseph A., Matthew N., and Aaron B. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Doctor Who and all the shows at StarQuest, and you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And we'd also like to thank Zyman Yannick, who edited this episode. So that's it from us. What did you think of this Sixth Doctor Big Finish story, The Ratings War? You can let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com or the Secrets of Doctor Who Facebook page. Send an email to drwho@sqpn.com or visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/discord. You can also watch the Secrets of Doctor Who on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/StarQuestMedia. And we'll be back next time. We'll be discussing the 2023 Christmas special. Yes,
Yay.
That's the next thing that's going to be available after this show drops into your podcast feed. And that will feature, as far as we know, Ncuti Gatwa, the new Doctor. So until then, Father Cory Sticha, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of Doctor Who.
Thank you, Dom.
Jimmy Akin, thank you as well.
Thanks, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Doctor Who on StarQuest. And remember, television is important when it is used to inform, to educate, and to entertain.